I'm telling you, we're going to get this done. It doesn't matter when. It doesn't matter whether it's in 6 minutes, 6 days, or 6 weeks. We're going to get it done.
Why has it been so challenging to unite your party, Mr. President? Why has it been so challenging to unite your party? Why is the party united? Why is the party united?
50-50. Come on, man. Unite the party. 50-50. I got it.
How big is this?
I don't care if you think I'm Satan reincarnated. The fact is, you can't look at that television and say nothing happened on the 6th. But some of the stuff, I mean, QAnon, the idea that the Democrats or the Biden is hiding people and sucking the blood of children and no, I'm serious. Now you may not like me, and that's your right. Look, it's a simple thing. You can walk out and say, I just don't like the way that guy wears his tie. I'm voting against him. You have a right to do that.
Is the final message to a dying world. And how many hands is God calling for? Everyone. Every single one. It doesn't mean I've been called just to save myself and to sit in a church and have a pastor preach at me from morning till noon and night so that he can keep on filling me and keep me happy. You'll never be happy. You'll be miserable. You'll be barren. You'll be poor. You'll be destitute. You will dry up. The only way to stay alive is to pour the oil into other vessels. How many hands is God calling for? Everyone. Every single
one of the dark trinity to come to America, since the Holy Spirit has been turned away, since they've turned God out of school, since they've kicked prayer out of school, and my dear friend, taken the word away from most of the people in this country. The first spirit that comes back is the spirit of Baal or Baal. That is the spirit of the possessor. It is the possessor. And the possessor simply is the one who comes first of all to take away all that is good. In other words, to create a vacuum. That's what Baal does. And so in the 60s, when they began to kick God out of the schools, out of the marketplace, out of the public square, when they did all of that, then they opened the door by doing that for a spirit that would replace the Almighty will not stay where he's not wanted. As they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind. And so therefore the possessor comes, and he begins to take possession, because the door has been opened, and God was driven from the schools, the culture, the public square, the universities, corporate America, and on and on and on and on, and completely losing your freedom of speech, which is the First Amendment. How close, preacher? That's in. All freedom of speech is gone when that happens from this country. Right now. The marketplace, the school systems, everything else out there, you know as well as I do, you have no freedom of speech. There are places out there that if you voice your opinion, you're finished at that moment. There is no debate in the colleges. It is their way or no way. If you don't believe that I'm correct in this, just go check it out. So like a cancer, it has eaten into that freedom of speech. And my dear friend, if you don't have freedom of speech, then nothing the rest of it matters. And so out goes God, and when he goes out, what comes in his place? Baal. And so Baal has entered in to destroy everything and turn it upside down that America had ever believed and loved. And so then what happens? Well,
you love everybody but don't want to be around them because they say hurtful things and mistreat you. I concur with that. It's very difficult. Well, that's why you have to keep forgiving, and some days I do that daily. After taking another lump, I have to deal with my anger and frustration at experiencing this all the time, then work towards understanding and ultimately having compassion for that person. What I believe this is transmutation of primarily their negativity. You have nothing to prove to anyone just because you are a woman, or because of your skin color, or because of your religious affiliation, or because of any reason at all. You have nothing to prove to others, and those who demand it are trying to fool you into a belief that you are less than they are. Why as an empathy do we feel so much pain dealing with others, but we love them so much anyway? It is because empaths are the most unity-conscious people on planet Earth. They tend to be of higher consciousness, and this is the reason they are empathic. When you are of higher consciousness, you are in a position to be able to transmute the negative energies of others. And this is exactly what is happening when you interact with them and you get hurt. You take on their negative energy, and then in going through the process of being angry, trying to understand them, and then forgiving them, you are in fact transmuting their negativity. I have a violet ray personality, so that's the part of me that holds me back. Staying angry at people is the worst thing you can do. Seek out understanding and compassion. All people on earth now deserve compassion for what they are undergoing. Lose it as soon as we lose connection with our intuition, because your intellect doesn't know and it's highly manipulated anyway. You have a false idea of who you really are. That's incredible. But they've stolen even that from you. Oh, yes, as far as this process of forgiving people who hurt you, or try to control you goes, it sucks, but remember it's for the greater good. Try to find understanding and compassion as quickly as possible, and then you won't suffer as much through it. Attaining spirituality is a question of keeping your vibe high always, but on earth becoming spiritual is a question of being able to deal with your positivity and your negativity well. I believe I still have an adrenal problem, but I seem to have enough energy right now despite it being a cold, dark winter already. If you do not get angry at anything upon your planet now, you are fortunate, however most people do. We find that your idea of what being spiritual is also the opinion of perfectionists. It is a perfectionistic, all or nothing, black or white definition that requires looking at. The truth is in the gray zone, it is not black or white. To be spiritual upon your planet now is not a question of a state as much as it is a process, and if you are in the process and working this in your life, then you are spiritual. It is as if you say that a person is religious because he behaves as Jesus does. No, people are religious because they read the Bible, follow its tenets, and go to church. Does it mean they are perfect at it? No, it does not, but for some reason many believe that being spiritual is a question of behaving perfectly all the time. No, it is a question of process. When one behaves in a lower frequency, they correct themselves. That is what being spiritual is on earth now. This is the fourth dimension. In the fifth dimension is where you attain and are able to hold a more spiritual frequency. It has to do with your unrealistic expectations and the fact that you are inclined to place your trust in another person rather than yourselves. Many of you have been let down over and over, and the reason you have experienced this is because you do not trust yourselves. And that's a good point. I know I can trust myself and my guides to show me what I need to see. The guidance process works perfectly. You are on an upward slope, going up a mountain, and you are all looking for relief from this process because it is painful. The relief you seek is in accepting the lesson, not in fighting it. I am an active resistor of the government, which is trying to go communist, and we all know what commies do to their resistors. They say there's nothing to fear, that's all they're going to use them for. As if. I also know that the Chinese Red Army landed in Canada a couple years ago, and they've been strangely quiet. They're using the census responses and checking them against the vax records, and if you're in there and not vaxxed, they're going to come to get you and take you to their concentration camps. They're determined to kill us, one way or another, folks. If you won't do the jab, they'll find another way to get you. Even having been threatened with a $500 fine. I told them to get off my property. As I had to run from the crack addict that I had disobeyed, he had a fear of bugs, and I was eating chocolates in my bedroom and not throwing away the garbage, so this would have been something he would have killed me over. Disobeying his orders.
Fed up with being around the same kind of idiot all the time. I mean, everyone was just a carbon copy of one another. That it was obvious in my face and how I reacted towards people that I couldn't stand them. You know, I had this personal vendetta against them because they were so macho and manly and stupid. I started to be aware of this, that people were noticing that I had this hatred towards a lot of people, and it was pretty much the general consensus with everyone that knew me that I couldn't stand them, or I was really edgy all the time, and so I just started feeling